I'm Gob.
And I'm Rod.
Welcome to the very first episode of Pest Perspective Hour.
Today we will be discussing Vermintide 2.
And Alien Romulus. So let's start off with the game then, Rod.
Yes, we're going to talk about Warhammer Vermintide 2. It's a 2 to 4 player co-op action game set in the Warhammer Fantasy world, and it's published and developed by Fat Shark. Where do you want to start with this, Gob?
Well, let's start with a simple question. Did you enjoy the game? And we can break it down from there.
Yes, all right. I enjoyed the game quite a bit. It's an okay game. It's quite fun. For me, it's a game that you're going to enjoy with friends mostly. If you play it by yourself, there is fun to be had there, but for me, it's the fun's with the friends more than by myself.
Yeah, fair enough. I feel the same way. I finished it myself without friends, if you will. And it was still a pretty decent game. But let's break it down a bit. What do you feel about introduction, maybe slash tutorial of it?
Well, it's an okay tutorial. I did rush through it a little bit because I had friends waiting for me on the other end, so I didn't really stick around to listen to what was being told to me and what showed up on the screen, but it was enough to explain the basics to me. Your controls and how you do things, but I couldn't go in too much into detail with it.
Yeah, we both started playing it together, right? So, yeah, we both had another friend waiting at the end of it. I chose to ignore the friend for a while and just kind of listened and tried to look around what the tutorial had to offer. It felt a bit empty, but at the same time, like you mentioned, it gave the controls. It explained everything very quickly and in an understandable manner. And it very at the same time is very quick to get into the actual game. There's not much beating around the bush, if you will.
No, and I suppose not. But speaking of the controls, I just want to point out that for me, the game's controls are quite complex. They're simple in the beginning, but if you actually want to advance and basically get good at the game, they become quite intricate because there's things where you basically have to dodge constantly, but the more you dodge, the weaker your dodge becomes, I noticed. So you have to dodge and attack, so you're ducking and weaving and attacking constantly. If you're melee, obviously if you're ranged, you don't have to dodge so much, but it's just interesting to me that there's also blocking, so you then got to try and block, dodge, attack in a rhythm with what's going on around you, and with all the swarms, it gets a bit complicated.
I agree with you to an extent with that. At first, it's very just mash one button, and eventually, you kind of have to start thinking about how you're timing your buttons.
Yeah.
Because, as mentioned, I completed it. I did the basic story arc of the game. I didn't do any extra content or the newer DLCs. And by the end of it, you needed to time your attacks or your skills at a certain point, not to burn through them and get hit and die. Because I played it also on a little bit higher difficulty than the basic. But since we're on that subject, how about gameplay itself? We already mentioned that there's dodging, swinging skills, and things like that. What do you think about the general gameplay of it?
Going back to you real quick, what difficulty were you playing on?
A veteran.
Veteran. Okay. It's just my understanding that I think it's the last difficulty, which I don't know what it's called. Do you know?
Cataclysm that you have to pay for.
Oh, you have to pay. Ah, okay.
Yes.
Well, that's good to know. Well, either way, apparently in the Cataclysm, if you do not play very well with the mechanics and understand them to quite a deep level, you're going to suffer, or your team's going to suffer. So there's a slight pressure there to get good, if you like. I don't know. I'm a person that enjoys chill gameplay. So on the lower difficulties, I'm enjoying it because it's chill. I have a crazy friend who plays a dwarf and just shoots everyone in the back and lights them on fire. He's your friend too, so you know that.
Yes.
And I like to shove bushes in people's faces because that's what one of the classes do. Not classes, what do they call them in this one?
Characters, I guess, would be the
Careers. That's what it is.
yeah, or heroes, right? That's you pick your hero.
You pick a
Yeah,
hero and then you pick the career that they play
yeah,
as. That's their spec, if you like. And yeah,
yeah.
so my favorite one was Bush just because it annoyed the hell out of you, to be honest.
It was incredibly annoying. But you mentioned something there that was very good. Your team will suffer if you play inadequately yourself. Not saying that you can't have fun or anything like that, but as the difficulty gets higher and higher, you are required to play more to your strengths and your weaknesses rather than just doing whatever. I played with other people online, and that was the case sometimes on veteran difficulty. Someone jumps in as a ranged character and they act as a tank, and then they end up dying, and then the team scatters, and that's
Yeah.
kind of how you wipe.
Well,
So yeah,
it's like our dwarf friend. We played a few rounds with him. Loved the guy to bits, but my God, did he get distracted? He would either be miles behind us, getting swarmed, or miles in front of us, getting swarmed. And that's the
yeah.
thing. The AI, there's I don't know what you call it, like a house AI, will say, where
Mm.
it decides how the game will play as you go along. And if it sees someone further away, I understand that it starts spawning more special assassins and things like that.
Those things are deadly. This is not just a simple mob that you can kill. They disable the entire character and can kill if
That's
your
right.
team doesn't get there in time.
What's the one that catches you around the neck?
Grappler,
I think
I
it's like
think.
he basically it's a rat that runs around with like the dog. If you think of the real world, the dog catchers with their hoops, but it's a
Yeah.
claw that closes and they just grab you by the neck and they carry you away.
Yeah, all the specials are similar to Left 4 Dead specials. So you would have in Left 4 Dead, you have a smoker. In this one, you have the catcher that targets a player and then drags them off. You have the assassin, which I think in the Left 4 Dead was a
Junkie?
hunter.
No, it wasn't.
Uh,
Oh, it was the hunter. Yes.
yeah, that jumps on you and does damage, and unless it's pushed off, it keeps doing that. But then there's like a couple of different ones, which is rattling gun, which is a ranged rat that shoots you from distance,
It's what it
and
sounds like.
yeah, and it kind of knocks you around. It doesn't just do damage; it kind of shakes your screen, so you can't really focus either. Then you have a bomb thrower that puts smoke down, and then that
Flamethrower dude.
yeah, flamethrower.
There's a fat
Uh,
guy that appears every now and then.
yeah,
I don't know
not
what he
wizard,
does.
but
Yeah.
well, he does the tornado, which marks an area on the ground, and then he
Oh,
summons a green tornado. And if you get sucked into it, you get damaged, and then you get thrown in a random direction. As well as he does a life leech. I think he's actually called a leech. He pulls the player in, does damage over time, and the player can't get out unless others help. So it is very co-op dependent game. This is really you have to play with the other people.
you either you
Yeah.
lead and they all follow you, or you follow someone else. But you just got to stick together, man. Otherwise, you're
Yeah.
done. That's just it. It's the same in Left 4 Dead, right?
Yeah.
The concept's there. Some people don't seem to get that. Dwarf friend. Yeah, I mean, it's a good game. It's a good gameplay loop. I like it. You also get loot and stuff, so which is nice. It incentivizes you.
Yeah. I guess we can talk about as well, since we've touched on it, the modes, because there's three different modes in this game that I know of. There might be more now that I think about it, but
Yep.
I don't have all the DLC. So
No, I think it just adds to those three game modes that I could tell anyway.
yeah, you want to list them?
You've got your standard little one-off missions, right?
Campaign.
Is that campaign?
Yeah, the PVE one,
Right, okay.
the
That's
basic campaign. Yeah.
Because next I was going to say there's a kind of campaign where you're
Oh,
on a board and you just go through missions as you go along the board, and you have to pick where you go and then follow the board to the end.
it's a little bit like dungeon crawling. The way the board works is like a Slay the Spire game, right? You have a couple choices and you choose where you go next and so forth until you hit the end of it, which is a boss.
Right, right.
And all of that is randomly generated, or not randomly, but it's in no specific order.
Yes, and it changed, and the
Uh,
map changes as you go along, right?
yes. Yeah, exactly.
Your gear doesn't matter because you power up as you go through. You pick up currency, and that powers you up.
Yeah, yeah.
And then finally, there's a PvP mode, which is new, as I
Yes.
understand it, where you play 6 rounds, I think it is, as swapping between being the heroes and being the rats.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy it, but it's extremely infuriating because of small but stacking issues that come along the way for me. Things like terrain, I have difficulty with getting around terrain. You get stuck somewhere. For example, at one point I was playing as the troll. Before I could even spawn in as the troll, I had to get to the other side of this crevasse and there was a bridge, but lo and behold, the troll is too big for the bridge. So I couldn't get past and I couldn't climb up. I couldn't figure it out until I had to wait until they got a bit further away so I could press a button to then teleport me closer to them and then spawn and get them.
Yeah. I feel the same way. It's a nice mode. I played it by myself the first time. We later played it together.
Yep.
But for me, the first experience, I don't know if somebody's computer could barely run it or whatever, but my load times in between all 6 matches was around 2 minutes. So that
Ouch.
was kind of annoying as well to just finish a match and to just wait 2 minutes on the black screen. And some of these matches were quick. So it felt like I was staring at the loading screen longer than I was playing sometimes. And as you mentioned, those small issues, I played as the rat and I captured someone and I was dragging them down the stairs and then I just couldn't move anymore on down the stairs and we were stuck in the middle of stairs and they got their hero back. So there are small issues. I'm unsure and I don't know if they're gonna fix them or what case with that is. I've also noticed, I think we both noticed when we played together that there might be some cheating involved in it as well. I
There's
looked it up later, and that
definitely
people
cheating.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
people cheat, which feels kind of pointless, but there always are those people, right?
Fortunately, yes.
So there's sometimes they can either fly through the sky. At one point, I was troll and I got killed within 4 hits, just quick attacks. So I don't know what that was about.
Just to
Yeah,
add to that, I don't think it's just about the cheating though, because the game actually has an inbuilt wall hack in sense, because all you have to do is, as a hero, highlight an enemy player rat, and you can see them through the terrain for a good 10 seconds. So as a rat, as soon as you show yourself, you've pretty much let them see where you are permanently. And you're so squishy, so that's a death sentence for anyone that has a ranged weapon that will shoot you. They're just waiting for you to peek. You're done.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
experienced that a lot. Thank you, Archer Lady Elf.
Yeah, there was I had some issues as well with that sometimes getting shot out of like midair when you think they don't see you and or hiding behind a wall and then just bam you're dead. Yeah. But with all that said and done, it was still fun. It is fun.
It is fun.
Uh
It will aggravate you at times,
yeah.
and sometimes you just need to take a step back. Maybe go back to the PvE mode, because that can be quite chill on lower
Yeah.
difficulties.
We did that at one point when I got angry.
Yep.
We did a PvP map, and then we went for a quick PvE mode, and then back to PvP, and it was fine. So all in all, I think all modes are fun. The simple campaign, the randomized dungeon crawl sort of a thing, and then the PvP.
I agree.
Fun, fun,
I
fun.
I do enjoy it as well.
We can discuss some other like broader things, as in maybe visuals. What do you think it looked like? Do you like how it looked?
I mean, I think it's true to the Warhammer world, and I'm gonna also add. It's not just the visuals, is it? Because what you see and what you hear contribute together, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Visuals and audio, I guess. True.
So, I mean, I enjoyed that quite a bit. It's nice, but when you're playing with your friends and you're in a party talking to each other, it does get a little bit irritating when they're constantly talking and stuff because you can't really hear one or the other. You're like stuck between the two conversations, going, okay, my friend's saying something, but this dwarf is telling me how there's some Wazooks around. And if you're by yourself, though, love it. You know,
Mm.
role playing and all that is good.
Yeah, true. I couldn't agree more with that one. I do enjoy the banter. At first, when we played together, the banter was annoying me
Yep.
because yeah, we were all talking on Discord and at the same time they're talking in the game and then there's story being fed all around you and it's just too much. But when you just play by yourself, nice. There are some gems being said between the characters.
Oh, Jim's all right. Yes, yes, there
Yeah.
are.
Visually, yeah, I think it looks pretty decent. Sometimes it feels a little bit too bleak for me, maybe. I think in a lot of maps, not 100% sure, but I think they use maybe filter or wash or something over it. So a lot of it seems green or a lot of it seems brown or
Oh, there's
something.
there's absolutely a filter over it. But I mean,
Yeah,
it came out in 2018, right?
yeah, yeah,
That's a pretty decent looking game, I think. And you've got a lot of
true.
things going on the screen. You've got a lot of rats coming at you, and dudes, and just big things, and spells, and obviously bushes in your face. So,
Yeah, and true. You're saying a lot of things happen on the screen. There's one thing that is both satisfying but annoying sometimes. Depends, I guess, how you are feeling at that given moment. The more things you skill with melee, the more splatter is on your screen.
oh,
So sometimes maybe if you're in a boss battle and you're killing a bunch of stuff and you can't see because your screen is covered with all sorts of insides of rats, it can be annoying. But otherwise, it feels kind of cool to just swing your sword through like 10 rats and then all that guck just sprays on your screen.
I bet it is. I mean, you played, what was it, the Night Boy? What's his
Yeah, Foot Soldier, I think is the name.
foot shoulder? Yeah. I tried two melee characters, which is the DLC version of your guy,
Yeah.
Grail Knight. He gets that splatter effect and such. It was just fun because big sword, swing swong, blood everywhere. But the one I really liked,
The Zealot.
yes, he wasn't called the Zealot, he was something else, but Warrior Priest.
Hmm.
He has a mechanic where the more you kill, you fill up a bar, and if you fill that bar all the way, your hammer starts glowing. You start shouting nonsense, and you're just bloodthirsty. Holiness is going for it, and your racism is really there. So you're just like, damn rats! You're just bashing them with holiness, and
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
satisfying.
Yeah. The only thing that kind of didn't push me over to the edge of awesomeness is the weight behind the weapons. They don't feel as weighty as I would like to. As you mentioned, I mainly play the guy with the giant sword. And sometimes I feel like I'm swinging around like just a cardboard sword
Well,
rather than a big metal thing.
I would like to point out, since this game's come out, they've released many DLCs, right? Things that you've got to pay
Yeah.
for. A lot of
Yeah.
those DLCs involve weapon packs. There's visual stuff,
Okay.
cosmetics, but there is actual weapons that you can only unlock through these DLCs.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not sure. I think one of those is a different kind of sword, big sword.
Hmm.
So, and it plays differently. So
Okay.
it may be that in one of those packs would be the sword of your dreams, where you feel like you're just this monster that has a weighty thing that is just blah, as opposed
Yes.
to what you have now. But I don't know. Point is, there's plenty of options out there if you're willing to spend a little extra on the game.
True. I bought just the basic version of it and nothing more. But I've enjoyed it in the basic. Not to say that the weapons are bad or anything. Yeah, it's just something that sometimes was like I want to feel like I'm swinging around something giant made out of metal and it's just crushing these rats and cutting them apart
Exactly,
rather than
exactly. And all I'm
uh,
trying to say is that over time things get better, right?
yeah.
So they develop and
Uh,
they learn a little bit better and they make something a bit more cooler, maybe.
yeah, probably. There's story. I can cover the basic story of it. It's nothing super profound. It's similar to the first game. Hey, rats are attacking. Send some heroes to kill the rats. That's the long and short of it. In this one, the difference is at the beginning of the story, in the introduction, you're taken past a warp gate that is letting these other bad guys from the north travel down south where you are right now. And the whole goal is to destroy that warp gate. So you play through different scenarios to get to that warp gate simply. There's 4 acts in total. 3 acts consist of, I think, is 4 levels, and then the final level is always a boss. And then Act 4 is the big end, the big boss. Yeah, nothing too amazing, but it's still enjoyable and it's very replayable in a sense. Oh, with that, what we mentioned earlier, the banter between characters. Because how many different characters are there? There's like 6 characters, right? Or 5?
It's 5, but obviously their personalities and the way they look changes based on their careers.
Yeah. So you, depending on what your combination of your characters is, that's how they're going to talk to each other or with each other or about the level that you're going through, as well as depending on who is the party leader, like who hosts the game and what they're playing, that is going to play a different introduction in every level as well. The little story bit. So there is not too complex story, but there's a lot of replayability to that story if you're in that sort of thing.
If you're into it,
I
yep.
would think.
And if you're not, there's plenty of loot to go after anyway. Think of it kind
Yeah.
of Diablo-esque, but not that intricate, just a bit like Diablo.
Yeah. And I think the last bit that we can cover in general, that we've already talked about a bit in here and there, cash shop, right?
Yes, yes, the
Always
cash shop.
a sore thumb,
I mean,
no matter what it is.
it is, it is. I'm not going to go into generalizations about cash shops because, but this one's a pretty rough one for me. The prices in there, I just took one look and immediately backed out because it seemed ridiculous.
I think it's a good representation of what the rest of the Warhammer stuff tends to be, since they're selling miniatures, right? That's their big thing. That's what they're known for, Games Workshop. And they're very expensive, just little plastic or metal things that you have to put together and paint yourself. And it's the same thing in this one. A lot of the things feel way overvalued from their side. You're already buying the DLCs, which is okay, right? It's an extra content. Why not
Yep.
pay for it? Makes sense. But then you have just hats and things that are not even that cool, I guess is the best word to use. And then they're expensive. The rest of them are 3 to 4 or 5 to 6 euros. Yeah, in that range in between. But none of it feels like it's worth it. So I don't know why even really do that and not just have it behind some sort of achievement or some way to unlock it. Because there are things that you unlock through achievements, visual things, that is, cosmetics.
Yes,
So
I've
yeah,
heard of that. Yeah.
interesting choice in this kind of game because yeah, you have also part of that cash shop. You have the money cash shop, then you have currency that you can earn in PvE modes, and then you have a currency that you can earn in PvP modes. So yeah, a little bit weird that one overall, but it is what it is. You didn't spend anything on it. I'm not gonna spend anything on it, but maybe somebody will.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! You told me
Maybe.
about that amazing hat that's not a hat. I mean, come on.
Maybe. I'll play later tonight, and yeah, both buy those amazing not hats.
Definitely. Put it this way, I do enjoy this game, and I will continue to enjoy this game for quite some time from now. I won't be playing it intensely. It's not going to be my only game for a while, my main game, if you like, but I will be playing it sporadically for as long as it's around, I think.
Fair, I would say the same. I think that's a good way to wrap it up. It's a game that is worth its money. It's worth its time. If you have friends, definitely get it together, play some. If it's even for just an evening, depending maybe how much it costs. We got it on a very lucrative sale.
I was going to say, you say it's worth its
Yeah.
money. On sale, it's worth its money.
Yes.
A full
Uh,
price, no.
no. Full price, probably not. But when it's on a sale, Definitely.
Yeah,
I would say play it with friends, have some fun, and I will continue playing it most likely as well.
and there we have it.
There we have it. After a short break, we will look at the movie.
Fantastic. Let's do it.
Welcome back. Let's talk about film now. The movie that we'll be talking about is Alien Romulus. It's directed by Fede Alvarez, and it's 20th Century Studio that does it. Let's just jump into it.
All right, let's do it, Gob.
What did you think of the film, Rod?
I enjoyed it, and I love alien films. By aliens, I mean this series, not just any old alien film. And I thought it was pretty good. I didn't take it too seriously. I didn't find it very scary. It was more like an action film. All in all, I think it was pretty good, and I would recommend it. How about you, Gob?
Yeah, same feelings. I'm not super Alien fan, never have been. I don't mind the movies. Like you said, it's not much of a horror or scary film as it is just kind of an action flick. Decent one. It looks decent, it sounds decent. If you have time, I would say go for it, right?
Yeah, definitely got high production value there, I would say.
I do like some of the sound effects and the visuals and things. The aesthetic of the alien is there, how it looks and maybe sounds, but not the essence of it.
I mean,
That's
spot
how I
on.
see it.
Yeah, spot on. I mean, sounds, yeah. I loved all the sounds. It was like just massive flashbacks constantly for me. Visuals, like you say, yes, very good as well. There's throwbacks to Alien Isolation, the game, which is a fantastic game because they go to what do you call it, a big station, which is a bit
Mm,
like Sebastopol Station from the game. And they've got the little vents that look like buttholes in a sense, which are always amusing to me that they have to go
yeah,
crawling through at some points. For me, that film was kind of a love kiss towards that game, and probably some other games as well, but specifically that one for me.
yeah. But as we go on, we might jump into some spoilers here and there so we can just discuss it a little bit in detail. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, I guess jump to the end of the video. But if you have seen it and you share maybe some of our views, feel free to stick around and maybe comment about it. I'll start us off with the thing that actually bothered me from the get go. When they're leaving the planet to go to the space station, there's no security, right? There's nobody checking them. There's nobody like scanning their ship. There's nothing. Why haven't they left earlier? It's just weird that they're trying to be sneaky about it when it looks like nobody cares if they're
I
there or not.
I hear that. I mean, I don't think. I mean, they are trying to be a bit sneaky. Yeah, they are trying to be a bit sneaky. I think the basic argument is that's because they can't get anywhere. So I think that's basically it. And I don't want to say what they need just yet, because if you haven't
Yeah.
left and you don't want to be spoiled, you should be leaving here.
I think one thing that we kind of discussed on the side at one point was also slightly this kind of back and forth of the how the characters act is a bit weird when it came to them getting to the space station and they have to get inside. The gravity turns on and off, on and off. They speak about it, they recognize it, but within a very short period of time, they ignore it, and that causes an almost an injury on a character.
Yeah, well, it
Right?
was it was Tyler, I think, wasn't it? That was like floating, or he started floating because
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of the room full of all this debris.
It was the Bjorn. It was the other one.
Was it Bjorn?
Tyler. Yeah.
Ah, right, okay, sorry. It was a bit daft with the whole gravity thing. I liked the film, but there were some questionable things along the way. Like, for example, when they go into the room with all the alien egg things there, they just pull out all the fuel things for apparently no reason when there was full ones that they could have just taken instead of all of them. The alien eggs are heating up. It's like they're in the center of the sun and coming
Yeah.
alive. So what did you think about that part?
I think that part was when the movie, for me, the movie gave up on any sort of suspense because they were cautious towards that point. You did not know what's on the ship. Obviously, at the beginning of the movie, they show you the ship before they get there, so you know the alien is there. And as a viewer, you know all these things. But the characters get on the ship, they don't know any of it. So they're very cautious and they have a set goal. And there is a little bit of tension building. You don't know what's going to happen. They don't know what's going to happen. But the second, as you say, they enter that room, they get their fuel, the little face bugs, yeah, the whole heating up and everything, it just happens so rapidly that it kind of destroyed the tension for the rest of the movie. It never gets tense anymore. There is no lurking threat,
Yeah,
if you will. There's constant threat, but there's like an action threat
yeah,
rather than you don't know what's behind the corner. It's always in your face, the threat.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's between themselves and obviously the main threat, which is always there. I mean, there's a nice throwback because they have the robot that they encounter in that film. I do like that because it's a throwback to the first film, the robot that was there. Ian Holmes, the actor, he's no longer with us, I understand.
Yeah, I think he passed away 2020.
Right. Rest in pieces, my friend. It's nice that they kind of put him in. I don't know how I feel about films bringing back dead actors, but I did kind of appreciate him being there. He didn't need to be there, but it was nice to have him there.
I hear you. I think I'm slightly opposite on that specific thing. I don't really like them bringing back not I wouldn't say irrelevant characters, but characters that don't actually add anything to the story from my point of view.
Yeah.
Obviously, maybe if you're a super alien scholar and knower of the lore, maybe it makes sense for him to be there. But for me personally, I didn't feel the necessity for him to be there, which is also kind of when we spoke about visuals earlier, the rest of the movie looks kind of cool. There's plenty of practical effects. Obviously, there's plenty of CGI and things like that, VFX. But he kind of brought the movie, like having Ian Holm there, kind of brought the movie to this weird, uncanny valley for me. I would have personally appreciated a live actor and just have a real person talking and having a real head rather than this CGI'd attempt at Ian Holm.
I mean, fair enough. I enjoy these films. I enjoy the whole alien universe, but it's not like I'm a super fan or anything, 'cause obviously I don't even know what you call the little spider guys. But to me, it was kind of nice to see that. It didn't bother me that much. At the time, though, I will say, while I noticed it was CGI'd, I didn't realize he was dead. I only knew
Okay.
that after the fact, so I didn't know that part. So that's why I'm now a
Yeah.
bit not so sure about that. It was all right. It was
Yeah.
fine. Going back to what you were saying about earlier, I feel like the pacing of the film it just skyrockets and it just keeps going and going because you've got like the alien, one of the spider things impregnates. What was her name?
Navarro.
Navarro, and they're not sure what to do about that. And then in comes the ripped in half android that was restarted, and he just says,
Mm.
"Well, that's basically she's done." But they still tried to save her. They managed to get the thing off, and yet even then, and it was on only for a very short time. Even then, that was enough for it to get its job done. For her to run away, hide on their ship that they came in, and then almost immediately after she gets there, it comes out of her chest, fully child-sized.
Ready basically for its next phase of growth outside of a host body. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that thing takes, I think, the time, not the scene itself, but if we look at it time wise, probably 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes.
yeah, to go from
If we
what
were
is a
to, yeah,
tiny little seed almost, I think, is what it goes in, and then it
yeah.
just grows into the little snake guy that it is. And
Mm.
it keeps going. Then obviously goes and cocoons itself, and then there's big boy ready for action after that.
Yeah, and that's another 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20, I don't know. And like we said, the pacing just kind of throws it off entirely, and it no longer is a suspenseful horror movie
Hmm.
action.
Action.
And with that as well, I felt obviously I know who the alien is, or the xenomorph and stuff. So it's not a surprise when that's the thing that crawls out of the cocoon or anything like that. But they really did not care to build any suspension with that monster, right? Because within the moment getting outside of Navarro's chest, then becoming cocoon, and it already kills someone right thereafter, and you see it in its full glory 2 minutes later again. You see so much of him that it just I feel like the old movies. Obviously, I haven't seen the old movies for a very long time, probably due to not having as much CGI and things like that back then, maybe. But they didn't show the alien so much as it felt like they showed here. So
Hmm.
that's how maybe it felt a little bit scarier back then.
Yeah, because it was always in
Uh,
the shadows, basically.
Yeah, but here on full display constantly,
Yeah,
which made it not as scary. And this is much further down the line in the movie, but then there's a swarm of them. It rang the bells of that one bad alien game that we played a while ago, co-op sort of a thing, a shooter thing, for people co-op.
I'm not sure which one you're speaking of.
The one that's a little bit like Left 4 Dead. I think we played it for just a couple hours and we dropped it. And that one as well, it's just all about swarms, right? It's not about this one menacing creature.
Oh,
Here comes like
yes.
tons and tons of them.
Yeah.
And it kind of takes away the urgency of the monster because there's so many others of him. Kind of becomes like, okay, sure, whatever.
I mean,
Uh,
that's what made Alien Isolation so good to me, because it's a similar situation, like you say. The alien's mostly out of sight. You hear it, but more importantly, it hears you, so you've got to be careful. But yeah, like you say, later on in the game, it also kind of gets a bit swarmy. So,
And that was issue for both of us already from the beginning of the movie when they encounter the face hugger. One of them is supposed to be somewhat threatening. Maybe you give it 3, 4 that it's supposed to be able to take on maybe a couple of humans or be a threat to a couple of humans. But in this one, it was twins and twenties of them in the same room as two humans, and they're constantly jumping on them. And but yeah, zero threat at the end of the day, really.
yeah, pretty much. It's supposed to be the perfect organism, and well,
Yeah, it's quite perfect at failure, it seems like.
ooh, you said it. You said it there. Speaking of perfection, they obviously in the film they have to help because Andy, the robot, the friendly robot at the time, becomes a robot for the company, inserting a disc into his neck brain, and then
Yeah,
he gets an upgrade, and now his priority is whatever's good for the company. So he listens to the other robot and goes to get this super serum, right? Uh,
yeah. At the beginning of the movie, Andy is a synth and he's with a human called Rain, who's the main character of the movie. And his supposed whole point of existence or main objective is always to do whatever is best for Rain. That's the kind of premise of it.
yeah,
And when they enter the ship, the idea is that he can do things on the ship because he's also a synth, but it goes to show that no, that he needs a upgrade. So they give him an upgrade, but that overrides basically the old Andy. And now he's, yeah, like you say, he does everything for the better of company. And the company says, hey, there's this serum. And this is the whole point why the alien is on this ship. We were trying to make a serum to get humans to the next stage in evolution. So, yeah, sorry. Go on.
no, it's fine. I mean, it's always good to add in the context. But yeah, anyway, so they find the super serum. They also find the pregnant girl, Kay.
Okay, yeah.
They find Kay. She hasn't been impregnated twice by the alien, so she's just normal pregnant. Injured because reasons. Basically, she gets let go to the ship.
Mm-hmm.
She gets on the ship, and on the way, for some unbeknownst to me reason I cannot fathom, she decides, you know what, this looks good, let's inject it in ourselves.
Her brother, it's Tyler, the other character,
Yeah.
prior to this wanted to do this. He wanted to inject her, but Rain said, "No, don't do it. Feels weird. Don't. I have a bad feeling about this."
I,
And he's like, "Okay, okay, we won't do it."
I,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
I suppose for context as well, when they pick up this stuff, we, the viewer, get to see a little video showing a rat just basically exploding into an alien in its own way because of this stuff. First of all, it's a messed up rat that then suddenly is perfectly back to normal, is a normal rat, and then
Which is
yeah,
also kind of dumb. All of it. All of that scene is so dumb to me
perfect organism rat, my friend.
because they see the video of the rat getting squished, right?
Yeah,
And then they watch the video of rat. The rat wasn't injured, it got killed and it comes back to life, right?
yeah,
And it's back to like its bones rebuild and all that stuff. Bam, it's back to being a good rat.
yeah.
And then they leave. They're like, okay, yeah, sure, this helps people. And then they leave, and that. As a viewer, we hang on in that room and we watch the continuation of the video, which shows, oh, the rat actually turns into a little grotesque alien thing. Fine, maybe you can be like, okay, you left the room, you didn't see the rest of the video. Fair enough.
Yeah, okay,
But
but
in the middle of the table
yeah.
is the disgusting corpse of whatever rat used to be. It's on display, so you can't not see it.
I was going to say, wasn't there some deformed, grotesque thing right there in front of them?
Yeah, bits like these kind of make the movie, both story and the pacing, very weird. It's right there, so the character should be able to see it. It
Yeah.
should make sense with, but they're like, no, 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 no. We need this later for tension or to build some sort of drama around that.
So I
Yeah.
guess the logic behind that then is yes, they don't know what it does really. It's just Rain who's like got an icky feeling about that one, so don't do it. So as
Mhm.
far as Kay is concerned, hey, it's good stuff. It's going to fix you right up, but it don't. That's the thing.
But
She's
it
limping,
don't.
even though she got stabbed in
Yeah.
the shoulder or something. She injects herself with that stuff. The rat comes back to life from death and is perfect. She's still limping.
Mm. Yep. It doesn't really affect her, which maybe in a sense, yeah, I can't really give the movie credit, but I guess it makes sense that the injection, for some reason, went into her child, unborn child,
Ah,
right? So
yeah.
maybe that's what happened. But it still doesn't make sense because she injected herself basically in the neck. So it would be straight in her own bloodstream.
Well, it goes straight to the
And
brain, no? Yeah,
yeah,
no, I don't see it. I mean, if it can revive a goddamn rat from nothing, I
yeah,
feel like it should at the very least infect both. But like you
yeah,
say,
exactly.
it seems to only take hold of the baby.
Yeah, the unborn baby. So there's obviously lots of inconsistencies when it comes to story wise and things like that. The whole acid just working however acid needs to be working within that scene, because one moment the acid can melt through multiple floors from one alien through multiple floors of the station, but then a good amount of blood from alien on their ship doesn't melt the ship.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
I mean, it's also like with
so
the lift. It comes down, it crushes like probably 20 or 30 of the damn things. Doesn't seem to bother. And this is also right at the bottom of the station, so there's no extra floors underneath them. And yet
exactly,
somehow
yeah,
there's no vacuum there because of that.
yeah. And then a little bit further from that elevator, there's a chute where the alien blood hits the floor and it's melting away, so it's creating a vacuum. So it's very,
Yeah.
very inconsistent when it comes to that.
But after saying all that, I will still say that if you're not too critical about all these little things, it still is a good film to watch and it's still entertaining.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
There's all sorts of films that have niggly bits here and there. It's just fine. It's all right. So, how did it end? It ended with her. She had to fight the baby, Kay's
So
baby.
yeah, which is another times hundred speed of things.
Yep.
Kay injected herself with the serum. Eventually get back to the ship. They're gonna go in cryo sleep in order to just get across to another planet. That's the whole point. The second she gets put in a cryo sleep, the cryopod goes weird. They open up the cryopod. She's giving birth. She gives birth to an egg. The egg is, I guess, acidic or whatever. So the egg gets taken down to the storage. But then, literally within minutes of Rain going to get some freezing equipment in order to freeze the egg so nothing happens, the egg has hatched, the baby has crawled, and now it has evolved to a fully grown,
Human
different kind of
hybrid.
xenomorph.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a human hybrid alien xenomorph amalgamation of doom.
Yeah, within 5 minutes of things happening. It's insane.
It's real quick. It is real quick. I guess the whole point was to give you that shock value, right? But I think anyone watching this would have seen pregnant lady and known that that baby, that baby was in for a bad time.
Yeah, pretty much.
That to me was another throwback to one of the other films. I'm getting slaughtered for not remembering that actress's name right now. Main actress from the film, OG films.
Oh.
Ripley. I know it's Ripley in canon, but anyway, when Ripley has to deal with her baby in a sense,
Hmm.
which is like got a human face, and the whole throwback is still a throwback to that film in this film because that's the alien they find that started this all off again. It's that weird human thing that got sucked out into space and then they find it in a meteor or whatever it is.
Which also was a bit iffy for me because they cut into it with a laser, and I was like, "Oh, how do you know how deep you have to cut?
Well,
How do you know
technology.
when you're not? When do you know when you're not just lasering the alien?" But yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, fair enough, fair enough.
Basically, she ended up playing a game of pull the four levers to send the alien out into space and get it off the ship, right?
Yeah,
And then it gets. See, this is again, if they took the other films like they have for this one, that thing is probably still out there and alive and will come back in another film.
yeah, I guess unless maybe the idea is the serum gets in hands of someone else or something like that. I
Well,
guess.
maybe. It's just the alien that started this all off in this film, as far as I remember, if I'm right, and I think it's this alien, it's the
Mm.
human faced one. At the end of the film, that has that thing being sucked out into space through a tiny hole. So you see its skin being ripped off, its meat being sucked through, and then its bones going through this little hole. And yet
Okay.
somehow they find
But the one that they find, it's just the basic xenomorph.
it has the long
Yeah.
head, but didn't the human face one have a long head as well?
Oh, I don't remember. It's been many, many
Like I said,
moons.
I could be wrong. It could be a different one that they're talking about. It could be the very first film's one. I don't remember if that
Yeah.
one was sucked out to space as well. But when I looked at the one, when they showed the corpse of it in the film, to me it looked
Mm.
like the human faced one. But either
Yeah.
way, the buggers can survive.
True. Yeah. They're not very killable, seems like.
Until a lift falls on them or someone shoots them.
Until, yeah, lift or until someone does what the movie says you need to kill it.
Now,
We'll see what comes of it. I mean, obviously, there have been so many alien movies throughout the years. Some of them better, some of them worse. I definitely haven't seen all of them. But this one just sparked my interest since you talked about it and you saw it. So I decided to see it as well. And yeah, I wouldn't say I'm worse off, really. It
ah,
was a.
yeah, it's a good time. It's like King Kong film or something, right? You're there for the
Yeah,
destruction and the
exactly.
fun.
Yeah, exactly. All in all, good. Wish it was a little bit more suspense.
I want the opposite because you've already got them swarming, right? So just let them invade a colony on not no outer space stuff. This is on a planet. Let them invade a colony and let them have a decent sized militia of humans and just make it a proper all-out war. Let them get swarmed and things. And I just want to
So
see
you want
that.
Starship Troopers, but with aliens.
Hell yeah, that's what I want. Come on, let's go. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I'm sure something like that will come eventually.
Fingers crossed.
As a last note, I would say I wouldn't go to a movie theater for this. If I were to go to a movie theater for this, I would go with someone else. I wouldn't go to see it by myself because there are films that I've seen by myself when it comes to theaters. But definitely as a I don't know, do people still rent movies?
Yeah, just online.
But as a rental or some streaming service possibility, definitely, definitely, why not?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, I agree. Although I will say, I think if you whatever you watch in the cinema usually is enhanced because of the
Yeah,
cinema.
yeah,
But
true.
but hey, also nothing nicer than just chilling in your home on your sofa or in your bed or whatever and watching something with some snacks. So there you
Yeah,
go.
there we go. That's it for today's Pest Perspective Hour. Hope you enjoyed listening or watching as much as we enjoyed talking about both the game and the movie.
And if you did enjoy, make sure to subscribe, like, and press the little bell. More is to follow in the near future.
So until next time, have a great weekend.
See you on the next Pest Perspective.